Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to another episode this evening of the Around the A Atlanta Sports Podcast. Talking Atlanta Hawks for the first time in a while with you guys tonight. The season's been, pretty close to wrap it up, but we definitely want to recap some things just because it's not been a season to remember. Still a lot of things that we got to cover because obviously there's a lot of things that the franchise has to do here in the near time future. We've been kind of slacking with our Hawks content recently. I hope you guys enjoyed our Braves podcast last weekend talking about opening week, a Falcons draft show coming soon. If you haven't had a chance, go watch our Kirk Cousins show. And yeah, talking some Hawks tonight. Had another Braves show coming up for you guys this weekend, recapping, the last week or so. But yeah, welcome back to Around the A. We're talking all things Atlanta Hawks this evening. I'm Blake Newsom, joined by my co-host once again, Mike and Neil. Um, Big Hawks enthusiast, as we all know, and yeah, it's not been the easiest of years. I don't think you and I expected us to be that good this year anyway. I both think we thought we'd be better than what we were, but we didn't expect much. But yeah, man, you're basically the host of the show tonight. I'm gonna hand the floor over to you. What's been going on with our guys?
Man, like Blake said, we haven't done a Hawk show in a while. It's probably the second Hawk show this season, but we're doing one now and season, but third. But yeah, we're doing one now. So season coming to an end. The regular season come to an end at least. We're doing one now. Gotta get one. Like it hasn't been a season to remember. All the injuries, the losing, the the off the court stuff is not been a season to remember, and so we're in this show we're gonna recap it, give you our opinions, and um let you know how the season's gone through our lenses. Um, so we started the Hawks started off the season pretty good. Wasn't we didn't see the season going this way with the Hawks starting the season off 6-4. NBA power rankings having the Atlanta Hawks the fifth ranked team in the NBA. Things were going good. Fans had questions about why Greg wasn't playing. Still have questions. That was our only problem at that point in the season. We were 64 fifth ranked team in the NBA. We was the only team undefeated against all the top eight teams in the NBA both sides of the conference. So we had no problems. And then we get later down in the season playing the Washington Wizards in Washington, and um and Kyle Kuzma, Jalen Johnson run down the court for an easy dunk. And Kyle Kuzma had no reason, try to contest balls on his hand, injures his hand, and that was the start of. I'm sorry about that. I was it's a little lagging. I was with our only problem at the beginning of the season was a lot of Hawks fans were questioning why AJ Griffin wasn't playing. We just seeing him sit on the bench on the sideline, not getting any playing time. We've seen Garrison Mack playing over him, and Patty Hughes, and after the season, AJ Griffin came off of. We was wondering again any playing time. Still wondering why he wasn't. But haven't gotten any. Going from that, the Hawks, had a great start to the a good start to the season where they're five, ranked by the NBA power rankings, and then we get to the Wizards game where Kyle Kuzma had no business, trying to contest the dunk for Jalen Johnson, but he does it, and Jalen Johnson falls and injures his head, and that's the start of another injury riddled season for the Hawks. We had a lot of guys from the time: Trey Young, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu, Sadiq Bey, AJ Griffin, Ufkin, Gay, and I like want to touch on how important some of these injuries were. Well, not important, but how crucial and the development of the whole how the injuries injuries are never good, and just how much it hurt the team.
Yeah, if the Hawks wanted to get where they wanted to go this year, and obviously they're not going to, they needed the young guys to click the first year and the second year players, and that's AJ Griffin, who when healthy wasn't even playing, got hurt, wasn't really playing as much in College Park as we wanted to either. All three of the rookies seemingly got hurt. People had a lot of hype for Seth Lundy as a bench player before the year. He got hurt, he got cut. Didn't see anything from Mohamed Gay. He broke his back, had another injury down in the G League, and we haven't seen him until recently. The year's already been a wash. With the Trey injury, we finally got some chances to see Kobe Buffkin, obviously the first round pick we took out of Michigan to be, whether he's DeJounte's predecessor, whether he's our future six man, we don't know. We didn't even get a chance to see him. And if the Hawks really want to turn the ship around that has been sinking fast the last couple years in regards to how this rebuild has gone, they need the young guys to kind of step up because this last wave of them have not done so. And Yeka, was injured twice at this point in this year, was still a top six pick. His contract extension isn't as bad as some of the others, but I feel like he doesn't talked about as enough as the number six pick. He still can't third over Capella. He still barely has a jump shot. He hasn't really developed into the player we thought he'd be. We'll talk about Jalen Johnson here in a little bit, but it took him 2 years to even get to where he was playing what he should have been doing at the end of his rookie year with how much talent he is. In year three, he had two injuries of his own. And then the rookies the last couple years, Kobe Buffkin, Mohamed Gay, and AJ Griffin haven't seen anything from those guys. And I feel like there was even some other names you forgot to mention on that list, Micah, like Wesley Matthews, who was obviously not a rookie, but was supposed to be brought in and really help the back end of this defensive unit, kind of like what Solomon Hill was, but actually be able to be a little bit more profitable in a Quinn Snyder system. He missed like 2 months, but by Christmas time, and he was really out of the plans until the end of the year. It's ironic to think that Bogey has been one of the most healthy Hawks this year when he was rehabbing the knee all offseason. Like AJ, Muhammad, Quinn, AJ, Muhammad, Kobe, Sadiq, both guards, DeJounte and Trey, Capella, Anyeka, Wesley, Bruno. Like everybody and their mother has missed a handful of games. Bogey's just sitting over there in the corner thinking what he did to get the luck he had. But man, just nothing went right, bro. Every time we had a chance to see a young guy to maybe look forward to something with how bad they've been playing, we're like, okay, we get a chance to see this guy. He may be a part of the future. They would be taken from us just like that and be right back on the injured list and in College Park. And it was the same old with the same unit of people. It came down to what guys like Dylan Windler playing for us at the end of the year. Like who? What? My God, man.
I mean, yeah, it's just it hurts for you to see the season basically end before it starts with all the injuries that we had. We seen how crucial, how big Jalen Johnson was for the Hawks at the beginning of the season. He was a big part in us winning games, and after he went down, the Hawks play went down, and that was 16 points per game that the Hawks just lost with Jalen Johnson going down. Jalen Johnson, he's a he's a power forward, point forward basically. He's able to get the rebound, push it down the court. He's able to find his open teammates. He's able to look for his shot. He's able to push the transition and get an open dunk, get a layup, whatever. And when we lost that, we lost a big our top three players, and that was the start of the decline for the Hawks, and we seen more injuries start piling up after that, and um, whenever you have plans to be a team, they came into the season wanting to be a playoff team. Whenever you have plans to do that, um, and injuries start happening, that kind of your knocks your plans, but um the Hawks obviously weren't overcome that, but like I was just talking about Jalen Johnson and how big he's been for us. He's had the highest number of jumps in the NBA at 16 per game, 3.6 assists per game, 8.7 rebounds per game, 35% from three, 50 percent field. He's been great for the Hawks. He's been way better than what I thought on him be coming into the season. Like I said, he's a point forward, and he's able to do everything a point guard is able to do, plus what a power forward is expected to do. And he's been a huge part of the Hawks' success. They're winning games, and he's been one of the few bright spots for the Hawks this season. How big has Jalen Johnson been for the Hawks in your opinion?
If it wasn't for him, I feel like they'd be not even in the playing conversation. Now the East has been super bad, so being they missed him for two different periods of time, maybe I'm not absolutely telling the truth in that, but it's definitely been a breath of fresh air to at least see one of our Hawks draft picks at least taking the next step. Because other than Trey Young in this rebuild era, I feel like every other guy has just kind of been who they are by the end of their first year, and he's showing that he might actually be another core piece to build around whatever guard we decide to pick for the future.
And it was many questions coming into the season with how are the Hawks gonna replace John Collins? John Collins was getting us this amount of points per game. How are they gonna fill that? Why did they go out in free agency or during the deadline to get Pascal Siakam, another starting power forward? And the Hawks had the vision of what Jalen Johnson was gonna be. And for the first time in a while, we could say Hawks got it right with Jalen Johnson, and he was able to be the player the to fill John Collins' shoes, and uh, he's been better than what John Collins was able to do in his years in Atlanta, and I really can't complain. He's been everything John Collins was plus more. He's a lob threat, like I said, able to push the floor, dribble the ball down, court, find his teammates open. He's able to do everything, and like his old coach said, he's a baby LeBron in his opinion, and LeBron, and I can see it. With all he's doing. He play the way LeBron plays. I'm not saying he's as good as or has you know he's anywhere in LeBron's league, but he of LeBron is able to do with in the sense of being that point forward player, and it's really inspiring to see. Great to see one of our young players taking the next step and start having a breakout season. So later down the season, we reached the trade that and this is on thing with Trey Young, the Dejounte Murray this year with the trade deadline rumors. Um, we got trash. I'm not even gonna say we got sources out there looking for clicks, like Kevin O'Connor, the Ringer, and all that, saying Trey Young's gonna get traded to the Lakers, that Dejounte Murray's gonna get traded to the Raptors. It's that all that, and it's been annoying for us as Hawks fans. And these guys like Kevin O'Connor try to throw out these favorites to get clicks, and messing up the team chemistry and what the Hawks are trying to build. Um, Seeing in a recent podcast, Trey Young from the Point podcast with the Dejounte Murray, Trey Young talking about his relationship with Dejounte Murray, saying it's beyond basketball when it comes to their relationship. He thinks relationships could always be better when trying to win, when the juices are flowing. But certain relationships that are just deeper than basketball, and they're trying to win games. Um, it's a lot of stuff that they can't control, but they just gotta focus on the. And the Dejounte Murray said, making it clear they're 2 point guards. When he said all the BS, trade this guy, trade that guy, really means nothing to him. It's somebody behind their computer that could be anywhere making up these trade rumors and all that. It means nothing for him. Trey's not the coach, GM. Dejounte's not the coach or GM, and he said they communicate their conversations are authentic, and at the end of the day, when we keep the outside noise outside, it doesn't bother him at all. So it was nice hearing those things coming from Trey and Dejounte, the sources themselves, the people in the situation, um, and it was very calming to see that they spoke out the Trey Connor, the Ringer, and all these other guys tried to make up. So with all the reports, like I said, Kevin O'Connor, the Ringer, all the reports coming out about Trey getting traded to the Lakers, the Giants getting traded to the Raptors, whatever. They come up with whatever they think to get clicks that day. And I feel as a Hawks fan, seeing them come out with reports that aren't true at all.
It's definitely laughable with the Trae Young rumors because I'm like, what are they going to give us? Anthony Davis? Like, they have literally nothing to give us. 2028 first round pick and what? D'Angelo Russell or Austin Reeves, a player that's going to be nothing when he's off of LeBron James's team, like most of those role players are when they leave a player of his status. Um, that was never a thing to me that screamed real, but it's always the people trying to push it because it was LA House, and it's crazy to me, Mike. And we talk about this a lot at the time off the air, but the media has always hated Trey Young since day one. You know what I mean? Since high school, since college, and that's I feel like why they're so hard on him. I think it's his voice. He sounds like a little child, which in reality he's not, but he sounds like it. I have a higher pitched voice too. Like it's something we deal with. He's a lot more of a man than I am. I can say that. But they've always hated him. So I feel like they've always had narratives against him to kind of feel fulfilled in what they were saying about him 7 years ago coming out of Oklahoma. Um, and because of that, I feel like now they're starting to twist it into the words of like, oh, now he's just in the wrong spot. He doesn't need to be in Atlanta. Like him going to LA was never a real thing. It just wasn't. But the media every year tries it. You're going to see those rumors again this offseason. You're already starting to see rumors of, oh, well, maybe he's going to go join the Spurs and Wemby. That's not happening. If they want a guard, they can trade back for their other one. That's not happening. Simultaneously with teams like Houston or him going back home to OKC, Trae Young is going to be here for a while. He might not end his full career here. So that mean Dominique Wilkins didn't, but Trae Young is not going to be gone anytime soon. And for DeJounte Murray, I wasn't per se against trading him. I definitely wasn't for it either. As someone who bought his jersey, I would have preferred him to stay. So my pocket isn't fully hurt in that regard. But with the way he's played since Trae Young's been out, I think he's secured himself a spot here next year. See, like we both got the Dejounte Murray jerseys. Mine is the black one. I don't have the City Connect ones, but I definitely don't think he was worth the 3 first round picks we gave up. But it's not that he's a bad player at all. The fit isn't 100% there. I think that's what the issues come with DeJounte Murray, and you're already starting to see a nasty media narrative that we've been over 500 since DeJounte got hurt. They completely ignore the teams we played. Yeah, we beat the Celtics, but the Celtics haven't been themselves in a month. I don't know, man. Like I think they're both going to be here, and I have pretty much learned to not trust a single thing that comes from a Hawks rumor because A, our organization lies, and B, they clearly never have sources correct because nothing ever happens. They're both going to be here. That's my opinion.
And I love the way that Trey came out on Taylor Rook's podcast saying that he wants to be here to win a championship. That was his goal when he got drafted here. He said he's going to bring Atlanta the Atlanta Hawks their first championship, and that's still his goal. That's still his plan, and he's looking to fulfill that for the fans. He's looking to bring that parade here for the fans of Atlanta, and we're still holding him to that. We're still waiting for that, and that's something we want. We see Trey's down acting and restless, talking about he don't know how much longer Trey got or whatever. He blocks Hawks fans after. Please don't block me, Mr. Ray. But um, yeah, he blocks Hawks fans for saying the simplest things. Whatever. He's trying to get the Dejounte's dad to start doing the same thing. Um, but we're all just fans. We want to win. We all want the same thing. We want to win. We want to have fun with the Hawks. We don't want to keep seeing the same thing with the losses. Um, but we want Trey here. We want Dante here. We want them here if that's bringing fans. We want them here if that's bringing us championships. And that's how I see it. And hopefully they can get something going this offseason, making some moves. But what do you think's the biggest problem with the fit of the, as DeJounte Murray said, the 2 point guard DeJounte Murray?
One thing I'd like to add before I address that is I also feel like that's part of the reason Trae Young started his own podcast, right? So we could finally come out and say what's what. Like there's been so many years now that stuff has been floating around of what people think he says, and his dad needs to quit doing what he does. And I think that's why he came out and made the From the Point podcast from reality. Is he 100% true in everything he says on there? I don't think so. Because he came out the very first episode and said, yeah, well, me and Nate McMillan had a great relationship. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. But I do believe most of the things that come out of his mouth, being that I feel like there is really some truth into why he made that show. I think guys like Paul George and Draymond Green got in his ear and said, "Hey, if you want the narratives to stop about you, embrace them yourself," and he did. And so I don't listen to that show as much as I should. I probably need to go. I might actually binge watch it tonight after this show is over. I might go back and watch them from the point from the season. But yeah, man, I definitely think there is some reason to why he created that show. Dejounte, I know, has been on a couple podcasts himself. He was on, Through the Smoke or whatever it was about a year ago with Matt Barnes. That was a good listen. But I mean, a lot of it was Dejounte. I will say I think is starting to fit better in his own way. He's a much better shooter now than he was when he got to Atlanta. The defense isn't exactly what we thought it was, but his three ball is a lot better. So Trey's been able to kick it to him in clutch situations, and Dejounte's hit a lot of big shots for us this year. He really has, coming via assists from Trey. Um, I think they're going to run it back for one more year, which is kind of scary because it's like, all right, there's two starters, and you already have Kobe and Bogey on the bench. You're like, okay, your guards are already set. Yeah, I really think the narrative of trading Dejounte, and not even just Trey, but I think specifically Dejounte, comes from us knowing that the Hawks do have to make roster moves this offseason if they want to change the trajectory and change where things are going. And I think because of where he is as a player, his fit and the contract they gave him, how much they gave up, I think that's where it centers on from Hawks fans. They know the picks we gave up, that they know the money we gave them, and they know that we need change. And people look at him and say, okay, that's the guy you need to move if you want to start that change. Because we don't trust our owners and our first time front office people because of our offer owners to make the right moves for guys like DeAndre Hunter and Clint Capella, as they showed us with trading John Collins 3 years late for a bag of potato chips last offseason. But I do think they fit better overall in Quinn's system. Quinn's been more willing to teach them and embrace them and work with them together because he is just a much better head coach in the year 2024, especially offensively, than Nate McMillan. Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, DeJounte has really been working. And we see every all season working. He's in the gym even during the All Star break. Him working in the gym, like the work doesn't stop for him. And I just love basketball. He's always looking to get better. He's never comfortable. He's never complacent. He's always looking to get better. And I could always respect a player like that. Like I said in his comments that he replied to one of my comments during the trade deadline. Um, like I just said, he doesn't get complacent. He's always looking to get better. And whether he's in a Hawks jersey for the rest of his career or not, or whatever it may be, he's got a fan in me for the rest of his career forever. And just talk going on about the fit. Um, it's like DeJounte said, it's 2 point guards. You see how Trey plays when DeJounte's not on the court. You see how DeJounte plays when Trey's not on the court. And when they're both on the court, it's a little gets a little congested when DeJounte's shot isn't going down. It's still two playmakers. When Trey's shot not going down, it gets a little congested because either both their shots not going down or they're focusing on DeJounte, and it's hard. But when they're able to knock down the three, it opens up so much more for the offense, and makes it a hard offense to stop. But we haven't been able to see that in full effect this season or since the Giants has been here. We haven't been able to see it in long spurts, multiple games after games. So it's hard to say that. But one thing I can say, with the way that DeJounte's been playing with the in the absence of Trey Young, it makes it hard for the Hawks to go into the offseason saying we can't look at Trey because he's been playing good. But it also makes it hard for them to say we can't look at trade offers because he's been playing so good, and we gave him a team friendly contract that any team's going to be willing to accept, and it makes his it heightens his trade value going into the offseason, how good he's been playing, his contract, and you know it's a lot for Landry and Kyle to weigh in the offseason. It's hard to go either way, and maybe interesting for just continuing to talk about this offseason. The Hawks yet again no moves, no trades. The Hawks were in discussion with Pascal trade for Pascal Siakam said, "I'm not signing an extension in Atlanta. Not happening." Pascal goes on to get traded to Indiana. He says he's gonna sign an extension with them. That's yet to be seen. We see if that changes later. But you know the Hawks in it. Like I said, they made no moves except wait, we bought out Patty Mills and we gave a standard contract to Trent Forrest. Just great move for Kyle and Landry. So crucial for the Hawk season. Bringing us back. It's great. What goes through your mind when you see the Hawks? All the the losing we've done this season, all the injuries. What goes through your mind to make no moves at the trade deadline?
I really wanted us just to sell. Like I was at that point where I'm like, this window is done. It's cooked. I know they had a nice little winning streak before the deadline. I don't believe in it. I believed in it last 2 years. Sell. They show me they can't even sell properly. Never have they bought in my lifetime. We can't even trust these guys to sell. And I don't know if that's coming from Steve Koonin, Landry Fields, Nick Ressler, Travis. Well, he's not here anymore, unfortunately. Um, you know, Tony Ressler, Kyle, Quinn. We don't know. But what I do absolutely know is I don't trust a single word out of their mouths anymore, because they go on 92.9 talking all the time about what they're going to do and what their plans are, and they have the ability to do X, Y, and X, Y, and Z never happens. So that's part of the reason all the Trey Young and DeJounte Murray trade rumors that came after that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, because you guys have been so 100% on everything in this organization. Even the year before, I'm sure you remember when they talked about how Nate McMillan was contemplating retirement, and then he came out 2 days later and was like, that's not happening. Like they're gonna have to fire me. Like they don't know what they're talking about. They don't. But also, this organization is just corrupt, Micah. It is, and it's sad because the Atlanta Spirit Group, which is what they were with before, which is why the city lost the Thrashers, was pretty bad. Did you know, Micah, that Tony Ressler, in his history as Atlanta Hawks owner, has the worst record of any ownership? And the Hawks have had 4 or 5 owners in their about 60-year history. Did you know that he is the worst owner in Atlanta Hawks history? That is amazing to me because Ted Turner did not give a lot of time to them. He was focused with the Braves. The Atlanta Spirit Group, again, wanted to run the Thrashers out of town, didn't really give the Hawks a lot of time, which is why Tony came in and swept them up. Like, I'll say this, Tony has definitely done a great job renovating the arena. Him and Arthur Blank are doing a great job together working on this Gulch project to try to create their own little battery downtown. I think that they've done some good. But his son getting that high cost of operation, running Travis Schlenk out of there, just ruined everything for this team. They had a future, but they rushed it too quick for Trae Young to sign that extension. And we peaked a little too early. We thought we were better than what we were. And when it came time to pay some of the guys we had a couple years ago, like Tony Snell, Danilo Gallinari, they originally paid guys like Kevin Herter and John Collins. The thought process was, okay, the ones that we let go, we're going to let some of these young guys come in and develop and take their place. The thing is, you hired Lloyd Pearson and Nate McMillan, and they didn't know how to develop guys. So we got stunted development-wise with bad coaching. And so guys like Onyeka, DeAndre, AJ didn't really take those roles of those players we missed. And in that time span, the dysfunction has let other teams pass us development wise, like the Knicks, like the Cavs, like the Pacers, like the Magic. Like I could probably name 5 or 6 others in the in the Western Conference too with their point guards. You got these nasty narratives on Trae Young. Like it's amazing to me how bright the future was of this franchise 5 years ago. And to relate it back to all what you said, they didn't do anything at the deadline. I just can't believe they couldn't sell. They couldn't trade Capella to a team that was looking for a backup center and the contention window, or they couldn't have flipped Wesley Matthews or Patty Mills for just nothing for like a 10th, for a 10th, 11th, 12th guy in a contending team. Like they couldn't do that. Like I was open to the DeJounte Murray trade if that wasn't their only move, right? I was like, okay, I'll trade DeJounte if that's not our only move. I want us to sell some pieces. I want Clint gone. I'm not mad if DeAndre is gone. I want Wesley or Patty gone. None of that happened. And ironically, right? And I think you were a part of this too. They had a press conference the day after the trade deadline. And shout out Bob Rathbun and Steve Holman. We love you guys both. You guys are both have been absolute mentors to Micah and I and Connor, who was on the previous space. We love you guys. You're part of the reason we still do watch and listen to the Hawks. You guys have been with us since we were 7 years old. We love you guys. This is nothing against y'all, but it was absolute GM speak from Landry Fields that day. Bob asked him, he's like, "Well, the people want to know why I didn't make a single move yesterday. Do you really believe in the uptick? What are your thoughts on this development? Do you believe you really have a home court advantage?" And we knew what all the answers were. Have you already been looking ahead at some of the college kids? And like, it's no shame to Landry and Kyle. They were good players in their day in the NBA, but they don't know what they're doing because they are first timers at this position. And it's because Tony and Nick Ressler don't care about winning. They care about this. And they get it with the amenities in State Farm Arena. They sell out because they have the second smallest arena in the league, and they have rappers that are sidelined. They have amenities like Top Golf and the barber shop, and they got that court on the sideline. They have some pretty good entertainment, or we originally did with Sir Foster and Ryan Cameron. Like there is a reason the Hawks still sell tickets. But they charge you prices that are the same as the Falcons, who have 8 games a year, and the Braves, who win 100 games a year. Like, it's ridiculous. They don't care about winning. They care about this. So when they showed me them looking at the screen a couple weeks ago down the stretch with the Celtics and seeing him and Nick Ressler looking around like, oh my God, this is embarrassing to watch. I'm like, you better not be embarrassed because you put this product together. You are the GM behind the scenes. You are the one that's trading all these affordable contracts that you originally signed. You are the one that hired these bad coaches that stunted the development. You are the reason that your arena is an Airbnb for all the away fans. There was a lot of green Celtic people in there that night. A lot of them. And there is anytime there's a big market. You and I talked about numerously. We blew the Lakers out earlier this year. It was fun. Haha, LeBron. But how many people showed up to that game that never go elsewhere, like Kai Sanat, that live in Atlanta, just because the King was in town? I was at the Braves game tonight. There were some Mets fans there. It's a New York market, but people were there to see the Braves because they care about winning. They might not have many of these to show for them, but they got some, and they got a consistent winning product. The Falcons across the freaking street are at least trying. They got the quarterback. They got a new head coach. They got a new GM. They got stuff going for them. They have young players developing. Drake, Kyle, Bijan. What the hell do the Hawks have? We think we got Trey or DeJounte. We don't know how that's going to last long term. Jalen was cool. That's like one of the bright sides. None of our other young pieces stepped up. And Yeka hasn't really proved it. Top 5 pick to number 6. DeAndre hasn't proved it. He's a top 5 pick. And you just hand out all these stupid contracts for money like Bogey, Capella. Oh my God, I just love being a Hawks fan. Ugh. That was a great rant for content, by the way. But that is truly how I feel, and it's from the heart. I'm sure you enjoy
I
that
mean, you
yourself.
just pour it out. But yeah, I feel you. I agree with all of it. Like it's frustrating as a Hawks fan seeing what like Lakers, the Celtics, even the Knicks have a whole bunch of Atlanta Lakers fans, Atlanta Celtics fans, Atlanta whatever fans, and like you said, it's an Airbnb for away teams. Come watch your team, and it's frustrating hearing "Let's go Celtics" and
It's so
State Farm
hard
Arena.
to it is so hard to close out games at home when you don't have a home court advantage. That's why the Falcons have blown games for years, and we finally are starting to get a home field advantage back at the Benz. They're starting to win games at home. The Braves, even though they lost tonight, raucous and rioting, and they put the tying run in scoring position when they were down by 3 late. The Hawks do not have that home court advantage, so it's hard to close out games against the better teams, especially when your starting lineup doesn't work together, and our starting lineup obviously doesn't work together. They never have with away fans around you. You have no home court advantage. That's why we actually survived and did really well in the COVID year because the arenas weren't full impact. So we were a really elite team at home. Then you got to the playoffs and we lost 2 or 3 games on our home court to the Bucks when it really mattered most because Bucks in 6 was up in State Farm Arena. Any big market sells out there. The Bay, LA, Miami, both New York teams, Cleveland, Indy because I mean, I wouldn't say Cleveland, but Indy puts a lot of people in there because it's the Hoosier state. They love basketball. Hell, the Hornets bring a bunch of people down from theirs with their like fan section, and they put a lot of people in our arena, and it's crazy because you never see us go up there and do that. We always lose when we're up there. Like I just can't think of many teams that I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to be a true Hawk home court advantage tonight. Some of the only games of the year I can think of are like maybe MLK Day, usually that Friday before the SEC championship gets played across the street. Like we just don't have a home court advantage. So, like, if let's say we do get the 9 seed, right, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it's going to be a Bulls home playoff game at State Farm Arena, anyways. So I don't know, man. It's just frustrating it's hard to pick and choose games you want to go to because you know it's going to be more away fans. You want to have them to see them have a chance to win the few games they do. It's just and they're too expensive for what they're worth, man. Like we shouldn't be giving money to this organization at all. I don't even know why I bought this
And
$50 hat a couple weeks ago.
I found it funny how last year the players noticed. I found it funny how last year after the Warriors game, I was at that game. After a Warriors game, the Hawks won the game, but John Collins went on the microphone and said this should never happen. You should never have the away team out chanting the home team. And while you could blame fans, because I also see fans just sitting there watching the game or on their phone and all that, the whole game, not chanting, not on their feet. You got to blame the ownership too. You got to blame yourself. You put in the product court. You can't expect you want to keep losing games and not making changes. You can't expect the fans to continue to go out there and show up. Yeah, me and Blake are loyal. We're gonna always go for the Hawks. You're always gonna go for the Falcons. You're always gonna go for the Braves. We're always gonna go for Atlanta.
We're stupid loyal, bro. Like we shouldn't be this loyal, but we are.
We always gonna support our teams, but like it makes no sense for like John isn't here no more, but it makes no sense for a player to be calling out the fans when this is the product that y'all are giving us. It's very frustrating. And to see this season, like Blake said, the team couldn't even sell. They didn't know if they wanted to sell or buy. So they stood pat. Bad,
The worst place you can be is mediocre, and that's exactly where they are. They're worse than that now, but it's the worst place you can be in sports. In the NBA, you either want to be really good or really bad, and they're not either. They're right in the middle. It's called the play-in.
yeah, and it's bad because like Blake said, we're stuck right in the middle, and yeah, it's a bad, it's not many names out there in the draft this year to rebuild and go after this guy or whatever. But also, if you're not gonna sell, why aren't you buying? If you don't want to get better, you don't want to get worse to build to open up your options for the off season. See
And
no
Micah, isn't
point
that
of
why we
said Pat.
rebuilt? Like, isn't that why we start the rebuild? So we wouldn't be in the middle anymore, and we'd be closer to the top and not a treadmill team. Isn't that exactly why they rebuilt? And because the play-in has come along, there's actually more teams trying, and instead of us being a fourth, fifth, sixth seed every year, we're now more 7, 8, 9. Like, isn't this exactly where we were? But now that there's more teams competing, we are literally right back in the same spot because we missed picks and have an incompetent ownership group that was here last winning window as well. Like, wow.
And you just reminded me about another point with the ownership hiring Landry and Kyle, like you said, their first time GMs, and it makes sense from their point of view because they're gonna listen to everything the wrestlers say. Tony says, "Get this guy." Nick says, "Get that guy. Give him an extension. Let him go.
Hawks
Trade him.
DNA.
Don't go for
Hawks
this guy.
DNA.
Whatever."
Hawks
It,
DNA.
it, they're just gonna listen to whatever they tell them, and that's why Travis isn't here. Travis wasn't going for that. Travis had his own vision, and when they didn't want his vision, Travis took a step back and went on to go to Washington and watch Washington pass us with their road. But we're gonna talk about that later. But it's just very frustrating. We went on a little rant for that, but it's just very frustrating as Hawks fans seeing the same year after year after year after year after year with no change. And it's I have no more words. But moving on. Since Trey Young's been injured, he's been out for I believe February 7th with a finger injury. Dejounte Murray stepped up in Trey's absence. He's been very, very, very good for the Hawks. Averaging 26.7 points, 9.2 assists. Led the Hawks to 8 last month. Two big wins, 6 in 3 days. Had a 30-point comeback. Game winners versus the Heat and the Celtics. DeJounte Murray's been very good for us. Nothing more to ask from him. Is like we've been saying, he's making it hard for the Hawks to make a decision this offseason whether to trade him or to keep him with how good he's been playing. How big has the been with getting the Hawks to actually winning games in Trey's absence?
When Trey first got hurt, I thought it'd be the best thing for us, and I don't mean that, incensing or wishing injury on Trey. I was just like, you know what, this is what we need. We need to back up. We need to lose some games, get further down the standing board, and it finally gives some room for guys like Kobe and AJ to play. Now, of course, they got hurt right as they got their chance to play themselves, but we actually ended up winning games and staying right where we were in the standings, and because of that, it creates another nasty narrative. Oh, are the Hawks better without Trey Young? No, because I'll tell you why, Micah. Let me know. Again, we like Dejounte. We both are in the jerseys. His dad's cooler than Rayford. That's than Trey's dad. But let me know when Dejounte has led the league in assists twice, has been an All NBA player, was second rookie of the year voting, very easily could have won it. Led his team to the Eastern Conference Finals without a single All Star in his team. Was the league leader in assists and points scored in 2 different seasons.
Sorry about that. We had another technical difficulty, but yeah, just Dejounte, he's just stepped up. Like I said, he's a player that always wants to work, always wants to get better, and that's something I can respect about him. And he took to Twitter, talking about we've been sitting on Twitter since Trey's been injured. The Dejounte stands, Trey stands, and it's like the Hawks fan base has been separated down the middle about who's on Trey's side, who's on the Johnson side, who wants to be a fan of that. And the Johnson took Twitter and said, "You fans don't know if you want to
It's,
be a fan of the
it's
team or
literally
the
the
player."
Falcons fan base, bro.
Yeah, and
It's
I like how
literally
the
the
Johnson
Falcons fan
went
base.
to Twitter
It's the
and
same
called
thing.
them all
Same
out.
people.
Yeah, um, but just moving on, Johnson put the Hawks in position to do. The Hawks clutched a playoff berth again. Am I excited about it? Am I happy about it? No. But with DeJounte's play, we're able to clinch a playing spot. I thought the season was over after Trey went down. Thought he wasn't making the play in, wasn't making the playoffs. But DeJounte, led this team. We've seen players like Garrison Matthews, Bruno Fernando, Wesley Matthews.
No,
All
Micah.
they all
Brooklyn was just that
they all
bad.
stepped up.
Brooklyn was that bad.
Oh, yeah, they were bad,
Brooklyn
but
was that
like
bad. There's a
now the
reason.
Hawks also won
Yeah.
like 6 out of 7 games. So and like I said, Dejounte and the Hawks with Trey's absence during last month were 8-7. So they did their part. Won more games than I expected them to do. But like Blake said, Brooklyn was also bad. But the Hawks, won games that they were supposed to win for the most part, and were able to clinch playoff spot. Um, how does it make you feel seeing that the Hawks, had expectations going into the season, saying they want to make the playoffs, and they don't want to be in another playing position, and just seeing it again. Granted, the injuries and all this went wrong, but just how does it make you feel seeing them back in the playing once again?
Deja vu, and it's not worth it. Like, there's no reason for us to get slapped around by Boston or Milwaukee again and somehow push it six because there is some talent on this team. Because it's literally going to be the same thing. Oh, well, we peaked at the right time. You're going to see some of the young guys get in the action, and they're going to be like, oh, the ownership is going to feel like, yeah, we got it. We need to lose games so that way they make the changes that are necessary. And so I was always hoping we would just miss it completely so we get a higher pick. And there's another better piece because we haven't been able to draft in the mid rounds. I was hoping maybe we get a better pick in the top 10. But then you think, oh, and Yeka and Dre were just awesome with a better GM at the time. And then you brought up earlier, there's not really a huge tanking thing. And, well, got a tank for this year. Brooklyn was just also fathomably bad. They made things a little bit interesting there. Early in March when we went up there for a little weekend series and they beat us both games. It was a little interesting there for a little bit. They took 3 out of 4 for whatever reason because the Hawks just still can't beat the bad teams no matter what. But there was really no competition there. The Hawks were always 5 or so games ahead of Brooklyn in regards to who was going to make the play in. And so they kind of keyholed themselves. They made a good run at Chicago there until recently. But ultimately, I'm not they do finish in the 10 seed because I haven't seen this team lose a playing game yet. I don't trust them enough to win 10. And in doing so, we missed the playoffs, and I feel like that's exactly what we need. I need us to get into that lottery, jump up a couple spots, and not have us go to 6 against the big guys again and make this ownership group think, oh, we're right there. Just no. It's been there, done that a couple times now. Third time. I'll say it again because I really think it's worth it, Micah. The third time in this regard is not the charm. Not happy about 3 straight years in the play-in. Get the hell out of there, get to the lottery, and you don't deserve to be in the dance this year.
And with that being said, we seen the Hawk, like you said, Hawks been in playing the past 3 years, haven't lost in a play-in. Um, you know, but we seen with Nate McMillan, Hawks make the play-in. Nate McMillan goes through half of the season last year and fired before the start of the season after the trade deadline. And the Hawks, once again in the play-in and beat Miami in the 7-8 matchup to get the 6th seed in the playoffs. Again, the Hawks are in the play-in. So the question is, did Quinn Snyder make a difference for this Hawks team?
I think what ultimately sucked, Micah, is we got some false confidence in beating Miami because they ended up getting a better matchup in Milwaukee, who we were really good against in that regular season last year anyway, taking 3 of 4. I mean, since that even that Eastern Conference series we could have won with a healthy Trey. I obviously know Giannis was banged up too, but like the Hawks have played Milwaukee really good for 4 years, no matter what head coach it's been, Lloyd, Nate, Quinn, for whatever reason. I mean, Philly, we always seem to find a way to beat them, no matter how bad we are. And they ended up facing them, and then they faced the Knicks, and you already know Atlanta owns New York when it matters. And by the time they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, they had 3 games to win 3 of 3. to play with in that series. And so they went all the way to the Tyler Hero should break his freaking hand and still be able to come back and play like 2 months later. It's just naturally too long. And so they got a really bad. At the time, it was cool because it was like we got revenge against Miami, um, but they ended up being the best in the end ultimately because we got to avoid Boston, or they got to avoid Boston for a month. We got Boston. They got a injured Bucks team. The Knicks were never going to do anything in the playoffs, and then obviously, Boston by the Eastern Conference Finals was absolutely thrashed after having to play 13 games with the Hawks and the Sixers. So.
So yeah, with Quinn Snyder, he was brought in, and we seen the work that Quinn Snyder has done in Utah. Um, he was a very good coach there, great regular season coach, not too great of a postseason coach. Um, but we could look at the numbers with the Hawks this year. All we want, say the Hawks are ninth in offense or top five in offense with Trey Young out there, 28th in defense. Terrible. The Hawks have been. I'm gonna say this is a difference I've realized. Nate McMillan was a defensive coach. Quinn Snyder very much on the opposite side as an offensive coach. We've seen the Hawks take their defenses took a huge backseat. Their defense was never good, never top notch. But I didn't think it could get worse until this year. Just seeing how bad the Hawks have played defense. We seen it just in the Indiana game where both teams scored, was it like 150, 160 games? I mean points in the game. It was just, probably in my point of view as being a fan of one of those teams, it was not fun to watch seeing no defense being played. And um and another difference I was able to see with Quinn Snyder is the next man up mentality brought around the whole team. Last year, or whenever Nate was there, when the player was out, it just felt like that the team would give up, or there's no hope. But this season we seen like I said, players step up like Garrison Matthews, Wesley Matthews, Bruno Fernando, and the Dejounte Murray step up and be players and bring the energy and do the things the Hawks needed. And um it's things that a winning team needs, but the Hawks are still not a winning team. But those are two differences I was able to see. Have you been able to see any differences, or how big have those differences been in your opinion?
I wish the rookies were healthy because I'd see a much bigger difference in development. And I will say, like with Jalen, yeah, he took Jalen under his wings and turned him into a 3-4. When we still had John Collins, we saw some flashes of what we could expect from him, whether John or was going to be on the team or not. He obviously, Sadiq Bey was a much better shooter last year. That was the one acquisition they made at the deadline. And Sadiq Bey had a really good, end of the season stretch with the Hawks last year and was a much better player than he was in Detroit. I think the Trey and Dejounte fit has been better this year than it was the first year because Quinn's an offensive coach. I definitely think he's made a difference. Like I'm at a point where I don't think the head coach is the issue anymore. Like I don't. Like we knew with Nate and with Lloyd, things were gonna always have ticky tacky issues. Quinn has been up and at 'em this year, challenging calls, getting the most out of this roster. Like I feel like if we didn't have as many injuries as we did, we'd probably still be about that 500 team we were last year, probably a game or so around 500 instead of the 5 games back we are. But I definitely think it is a different feel from last year. In that regard, like we like where we're at coaching staff wise. We just know that everybody and his mother above him have bad apples to their name. Um, but I would definitely say he was an upgrade. I'm definitely glad he's here. I just wish he had a better supporting net around him. I'm sure he would have waited until the offseason and signed with Milwaukee or Philly or Phoenix or one of these other big markets that opened up last offseason. If he would have waited just a little bit, the Hawks got lucky. It's one of the good decisions Tony and Landry have made so far is they did bring this guy in midseason, and I think some of it is he does have that that time here. He was here under Coach Bud, and some of the best winnings the Hawks have done in the regular season. And you brought up a great point. He was a great regular season coach in Utah. Couldn't win in the playoffs. Obviously, you weren't going to go that far with Rudy Gobert as your second best player in the playoffs. We're going to see that with the Timberwolves this year. We are. I know you love Ant Man, but we're going to see that. Um, One thing we know is like the Hawks are probably not going to win a championship in our lifetime. Well, they probably will. They haven't won since 1958. We're already 20. Like just by default, we're going to see the Falcons and Hawks win a championship in our lifetime because if we are safe and healthy, we're going to live another 60 years. I'd like to think it'll happen. I don't know when, but the Cubs won 100 plus years and it finally happened. It might not be for a while, but they'll run into one eventually. Like that's going to happen. But point is, like we haven't seen a lot of great regular season Hawks basketball. So if they're not going to go far in the playoffs, that's fine. Like I want to enjoy watching the Hawks in the regular season. I want to see a 46, 47, 48 win team that we saw in the mid 2010s, even after the 60 win team. They won 50 or so games the next year and 50 or so games the year after that before they just decided to tear it up when Paul Millsap left. Like it was at least an enjoyable product at night. To reference the Braves again, they don't go far in the postseason a lot, but I at least enjoy watching them on a night to night basis. It's a change from watching the Falcons go 7-10 every year. But the difference is that's once a week. The Hawks, like the Braves, are pretty much every night for a 6 to 7 month period, and so you want to have a reason to keep up and watch these guys, and they just have not been. You and I have talked about it before. We get more mad watching them than actually having fun watching. That shouldn't be the case. That's really bad. And so I don't. I know they're probably not going to win a championship for a while. I wouldn't be mad if they sacrificed whatever it was to at least have some successful winning over 500 seasons.
And one more thing I could say that I seen with Quinn Snyder is he's a player's coach. He's great in that aspect. Like Blake said, he's going out there with the coaches challenges. He's trusting his players. A player tells him the ref got it wrong. I didn't touch. Quinn looks at the bench, calls for the challenge. He's always pulling Trey to the side, DeJounte to the side, Kobe to the side, Jalen to the side. So them, tell him what he's seeing out there, what they need to do to make them successful, and he like Trey been saying since he's been here. He's a very hands-on, verbal coach to that's gonna help him, and we've seen the differences and the difference in Jalen Johnson's play this year. We've seen the Jonte, his shot getting better. I think Kyle Korver's been helping with a lot of the shooting around the team, and Quinn's just trying to make the game easier for the team, and trying to win games, and you can't build Rome in a day. So you just stacking wins on top of
You
wins.
can't build a house that stands on its own four. You can't build a house that stands on its own support system without it falling in the Hawks organization, yet alone Rome. So I gotta ask you this, Micah. Obviously, I went to a couple games this season. You obviously did yourself. I'm sure you remember around Christmas time when I started the sell the team chants, and where we stand on that. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I got a lot of backlash, and I don't know why my camera's frozen. I'm here. My computer's had a lot of issues tonight, guys. I'm sorry. Um, I got a lot of backlash on Twitter the night that I posted us doing the sell the team chants, and I'm like, isn't this what y'all wanted? A lot of you guys have clamored about change and how much you hate the organization, whether you hate Trey, you hate DeJounte, you like Quinn, you like Nate. Everybody clamored for change. And the night I got it, everyone's like, you suck, blah, 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 fake fan. I'm like, do y'all not understand? I'm not selling. I don't want us to sell the players. Some of them, sure, but I want this organization to be in hands where they actually care about winning. Arthur Blank at his soul cares about winning. Liberty Media they don't really have a care about the Braves winning, but they make money off them winning, so they give profits to us stockholders for them to win. They make all that money, so they win. The Hawks make that money, but they're not winning. And so I wanted us to sell the team, and I don't know, man. I'm sure you remember those posts I made, and I got so much hate. And then a week later, everybody else was like, "We need to start selling the team." I'm like, just another day of Blake Newsom being a week ahead of the curve on everybody in Atlanta sports Twitter. Like, what was your reaction to that from a couple months ago? Because we've talked about it before. Someone's got
I
to have the balls to
mean,
do it.
yeah, like me and Blake always, texting, talking about different things in Atlanta sports. And that was one thing we said that the Hawks need to sell the team. Tony Wrestler has done everything to get the Hawks out of position to be a winning team, to be a championship team. We seen like Blake said, the team that the Hawks built. We had pieces with that Travis built. Had Trey Young with Kevin Herter, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, Onyeka Okongwu, Clint when he was actually good, John Collins when he was actually good, before the finger injury. We had a core. We had so much to build
Gallo
upon.
and Bogey, White Boy Summer.
Yep, them too. And we had so much to build upon. Nate didn't want to develop the players. Tony wanted to give out big contracts for um to keep players that didn't deserve the big contract, the big money they got. And then we had to later trade
They
them
kept the wrong
for
players. Yep.
stuff they wasn't worth. Trading Kevin Herter for Justin Holiday and Mo Harkless. Didn't even keep Mo Harkless, and we traded Justin Holiday to the Mavericks later that season. Traded John Collins for Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay didn't even play for us. We had a traded player exception in the with the John Collins trade, 25 mil. Didn't even use it. So I don't understand what the Hawks are doing, and um I feel like we're all at a point. All the Hawks fans
Facts where
are
they
at the
haven't
point
even
where
used it.
are all at the point where it's
They're just
like
pocketing
sell
the
the
money,
team.
Micah. They're just pocketing it.
Like that's what it looks like. Just
They're just pocketing
if
the
you don't want to
money.
win, if you don't want to see Atlanta, like Trey Young's vision is to bring a championship to Atlanta. If that's not your vision as well as a owner, and your main priority is making money, sell the team. We want to win. We don't care about the money that's going in your pockets. We're fans at the end of the day. We want to see the Hawks win.
Let them know about that great trade package we got back for former top 10 pick Cam Reddish as well. Amazing trade. And this was a Travis trade, by the way. But just remind the people the great. We did get a first round pick back that ended up being used for DeJounte. But Kevin Knox, baby. Let's go.
And the
Just
Fortnite suit
amazing
jacket at
talent
the
we got back in
draft.
return for. Yeah, just all the amazing talent we got back for Cam, John, and Kevin. And Clint's next because we waited too long. We're going to get a second round pick and like 38-year-old 38-year-old Patrick Beverly or something. And then he'll be waived and go to another team, and then we'll just pocket that money and give that spot back to Trent Forrest. That's probably what's gonna happen. Yep.
And to your point, like that's been Atlanta's specialty with waiting until it's too late, too long to trade a player where their value is like tanked, it's gone. Um, but just moving on to later in the season, Trey Young today was cleared for team practice and contact. Like I said, he's been out since about I believe February 27th. He's been practicing, shooting around with his sling or whatever it is on his pinky finger, but he's finally been cleared for contact and 4 games left in the season. 4 games left in the regular season. The Hawks play the versus the Heat, versus the Hornets, at the Timberwolves, at the Pacers. Have 4 games left until the play-in. Where we are currently the 10th seed, have a chance to make it to the ninth seed, but um, like Blake said, it doesn't matter because we don't have home court advantage. But just with the last 4 games of the season left, do you think the Hawks are able to get to the ninth seed with the last 4 teams we play?
No. We still play the Heat. They own us. We still play the Pacers. We haven't beat them this year. We still play the Timberwolves. They're playing for a top seed in the West. And the Bulls play the Hornets and the Wizards. Or maybe they play the Pistons and the Wizards. So, no, I don't. We have to win outright because they have home court advantage. They caught them. Then they immediately lost two in a row afterwards. So, no. And in regards to Trey, he can just stay out. Just don't even have him suit up. Just in case we win those playing games, I want him healthy and ready, playing for the Hawks, the Atlanta Hawks, next season. It's just it needs to happen, buddy. If I might have to go bust into United Center and kind of do something to where he can't play because I know what's best for us. And have him sit and we'll have him ready for next year. Maybe you'll join me, right? Well, we're not gonna hurt him, obviously, but we're gonna make sure that Trae Young's not in the game. We'll do something, right? There's some, yeah, why not? Fun little trip to Chicago.
Yeah, I don't want Trey coming back for no playoff game. I mean, play in games. It's I don't even want us to win the playing games. Just take our L, take our loss. The season was a waste. The season was a loss. Um, Even if we beat the Bulls in the first game, we're either gonna have to play the Pacers, the Sixers, or the Heat in the second game to make it to the playoffs to be the 8th seed to go against the 6th seed actually to go against
Yeah,
the Celtics.
the six the Sixers also look a lot
I
better
mean,
with
eighth
Embiid
seed, not
back.
six.
Um, yeah, the Sixers look a lot better with Embiid back. I mean, if we mess around and get the Magic, maybe there's a chance for whatever reason. We've beaten them up a lot this year, but the Pacers, we play them this week. I don't expect us to beat them twice in a week. I could see us beating the Bulls, especially without Trey. We play better against the Bulls without Trey, that I will admit to. The Sixers, I don't see us winning another winner go home game in Philly with this roster. They're better than they were a couple years ago. We're worse than we were a couple years ago. And the Heat, no way we beat them 2 years in a row either. So unless it's somehow the Magic, because I know they're right there in that range too, and somehow they slipped to the play-in via really bad last week. There's no way in hell they win two road games. So I'm crossing my fingers on that because if Trey plays, anything's possible. Obviously, he's yet to lose a play-in game in his career. But I'm surprised that he hasn't been called a play-in merchant yet. Maybe that's coming. But yeah,
And like Trey in the plans, like anything's possible. You seen in the second half, he scored 30 points in the second half. One of the best games I've seen Trey play. I was in State Farm Arena, the watch party there, and it's immaculate vibes. Great to watch. But yeah, um, for the last question, you you already know my opinion, and you already said you don't want um Trey to come back. So my question is, Bucks even make the playoffs?
how about no? No, they don't, and they shouldn't. I'll leave it at that. I've said everything else I need to say.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't want him to win the play. I definitely don't want him in the playoffs because, like I said, we're gonna have Boston again in the first this 2 weeks ago. I don't want to see what they're gonna do to us. When we play them again, they're already frustrated about it. But Boston's always gonna Boston. I'm not too worried about Boston winning the championship or nothing this year, but you
They're
know,
the Niners of basketball, bro. They're the Niners of basketball, and they're the Dodgers of basketball. So yeah, that's who they are.
yeah, and it's just like we've been saying from the beginning of the show. This season it started with the injuries, where the season became a waste, a loss, and just take the L and move on. Start getting prepared for next season. Go, start scouting and see what players you're gonna bring in the draft, and it's gonna be a long off season.
Micah, I wasn't even like excited for this season to begin. Like I remember watching open a night, still pissed the Braves lost in the playoffs a week before. I was like, "Yay, it's Hawks season! Woohoo!" Like I was at least remotely excited. the 2 years prior because it was like, okay, 2 years prior, we're coming off an Eastern Conference Finals run. That was exciting. Even that year before, we kind of had a feeling to be a good team because we won 20 games the year before. So that was exciting. Opening up at Christmas time, it felt a little bit more special because there wasn't a lot of sports going on at the time. College football, the Falcons sucked. So like it was cool to get the Hawks during COVID at that point, the year after the run they made, and then the year after that where we had a DeJounte and we drafted AJ, and we're like, okay, we probably would have been a top 6 team if we were healthy, and we get John fully, and it didn't work out. They were the most mid team of all time, but at least I followed them. I didn't even get up for this season. I was like, they didn't do anything this offseason to win me over. Kobe Buffkin, woohoo. Wesley Matthews and Patty Mills, woohoo. I haven't even really been locked in this season, man. Like I might sound like a casual in some of my takes, but like there's no reason for me to watch these guys. The Falcons are once a week. They're losers, sure, but I can handle once a week. It's just how it is, man. Like if the Braves and the Hawks are on at the same time, I'm gonna watch the Braves. Like it's not just because I'm a white kid from the suburbs of Atlanta. I'm never gonna choose to watch the Hawks over the Braves. I'm not. I watched the Braves playoff. I watched the Braves regular season game over the Hawks playoffs last year. It's just where we're at in this point in time.
I mean, yeah, it's it like I feel you. It just gets boring and frustrating. Seeing year after year the Hawks continue to lose and frustrate fans, and it's just not fun anymore. We've been seeing it for forever. We had hope with the Hawks in 2015 where we had a 60-win season, went undefeated in January, and couldn't beat LeBron. We got swept, and then LeBron owns yeah, whatever. And then we get to 2021, we have a chance to go to the finals again, and Trey Young steps on a rest foot and he goes down, and it's like our luck as a Hawks fan, as Hawks fans, and the Hawks in general, we
That was
just
our one
can't
shot.
we can't catch a break, and this is just where we're at with the Hawks, and we're just hoping, like Blake said, we're hoping we could see them win the championship in our lifetime. Hopefully with Trey here, but if not, I'll take any championship for the Hawks.
They'll run into one. Like
Yeah,
genuinely, they'll run into one. Denver hadn't won in 80 years. They ran into one last year, playing some teams with a healthy Jamal Murray that made a difference for them. And we saw them the other night. They kicked our butt, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean they'll run into one, and kind of what you were saying with like the LeBron thing. He owned everybody in the East at that point. He owned Toronto, he owned Atlanta, he owned Boston, he owned Chicago, he owned Indy. Pretty much any challenger they handled. There was no beating LeBron in the East any of those years. The Celtics came close one year, but they lost Kyrie in that series that had the inside sources on him, and they blew that. But yeah, I mean regarding the 2021 run, like that was their one chance. We didn't know it at the time. Maybe if they would have won that, we'd probably still be off that high right now because we had never seen it. Like the Braves have multiple of these. You know what I mean? Like the Hawks don't have one in the city of Atlanta. So I feel like you and I we probably wouldn't be satisfied. Like we wouldn't be happy with the product right now, but we could still go back and be like, well, you remember, blah 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 blah, and people would be taking it from us because it was a Mickey season, blah blah blah. We wouldn't care. We literally wouldn't care. We would still crown that team for who they were with Lou Williams and Danilo Gallinari and a good Clint Capella, our guys Trey and John and Kevin. Like that was such a fun team to watch, and it's how quickly things can change. We were on top of the tops with our future, and they just what's rock bottom right now. It's just everything, and everything that has gone wrong, and every wrong decision to be made has been made. That was their one chance. There was no LeBron in their way that year. There was no Steph Curry in their way that year. It was Giannis, and Giannis is a great player. But they fired Coach Bud because he couldn't get over the hump many times there in Milwaukee. He happened to that year. And out of the West, it was Phoenix, and we beat them up right at the very end of the year when everybody was playing for something. Like we swept them that year. That was their chance. It was the Clippers, who are a joke of a franchise historically, not right now, but historically. The Suns, and the Bucks. That was in the Hawks' way, and they couldn't get it done. And I remember being on Spaces and Twitter and Instagram replays at that time and being like, you know what, we'll be back. This is fine. We still got a bright future ahead of us. Little did we know that we'd get worse from then on. We went from what 41-31 to like 3 games over 500 to 500 to under. It's gotten worse every single year. And because we love pessimism so much, and that's what I'm known by on Twitter, we're going to end it on that note. So it was a pleasure. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. My computer's been really bad tonight. So I apologize if there was any, issues. This is not going to be a normal thing. But yeah, we'll definitely be doing another Hawk show for you guys soon. Next time, so you guys are back, we're definitely going to be talking about, what players do the Hawks need to move on from? Clint Capella. Make sure to catch that in the next Hawks episode. And we'll also be talking about teams passing the Hawks development. We mentioned a bunch of them earlier, but we'll definitely sign into that. And just to show you behind the scenes whistles, we got Braves predictions in here, we got Falcons predictions in here. This is around the A, baby. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe on any platform. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe down below. Follow the TikTok, follow the Instagram on Around the A. You guys can find us at Twitter. I'm Blake Newsom at Newsom Sports ATL. Almost at 2.3 thousand followers. Would love if you guys could help me get there, and make sure you guys follow my boy Micah. Hot take last weekend. He absolutely freaking nailed it. The clip out is up on all our socials about the Braves sweeping the Diamondbacks. Props to you, young buck. That is awesome. Yes, you're my grasshopper when it comes to baseball knowledge, but hey, you know more than you think. That's for sure. But regardless of the dysfunction with this franchise, we are fans at the end of the day, and we appreciate you listening to us rabble on for this awful 77 minutes of content. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, afternoon, whatever time you may be listening, wherever it takes you. Around the A, coming back this weekend for another episode of Braves, a little bit more positive. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.